As we are behind the schedule, so I thought of minimizing my questions and more opportunity will be given to the audience to put up their questions. But I have also got one or two questions. First question goes to Dr. Ashwin Fernandez. I've gone through your book from page to page, word to word, and you claim that India is going to become knowledge superpower. What is making India knowledge superpower? And secondly, you have spoken about 2020 education policy. So what is so special that it is attracting the students from far and wide?
Well, we can see that first the question of what is a knowledge superpower. Any country that has the brains, that has the people who are able to do research, to be able to add to the thought leadership, this is where the superpower is. Because with our intellectual ability, we are able to negotiate rather than having various other mechanisms. So that is measured, of course, through some good universities we have, the research happening at these universities, the people, the researchers who are, or the faculty or the students who are creating that impact in the world. So all that put together makes a knowledge superpower. Because when we look at the Middle East, we always say this phrase that the oil is supposed to go and we need to now build a knowledge economy, right? A knowledge economy is beyond your substantial and your goods which you can sell. It's education at the end of it. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. My next question is to Dr. Raman. Indian higher education sector is now making a mark on international education landscape. How will you define this in terms of attractiveness of Indian higher educational institutions for overseas students, particularly with private sector making a noticeable foray into the field?
Great, thank you for that question. So I think I already was talking about how India is changing and how it's becoming a destination. One, I would like to refer to what Dr. Ashwin was talking about, the QS ranking. From the number of universities that was there about 15 years back to number of universities that are there in the QS ranking today is gone multifold high. That itself is a proof that we are there as an institution at par with global universities there when it comes to quality of education that is being given. The second most important thing is India as a destination. If you compare the cost of education, that is actually, I would say, 1/10 or 1/20 the cost of education that you possibly have when you compare the same quality or even at par quality with other countries when the amount of money that you're going to spend. Third, the scholarship that's being given to foreign nationals, especially even expatriates when they come back and study in India. Every university has got a huge number of scholarship which the students actually get. Next, English education. Education medium of instruction is English, and hence that remains a destination for many students if they are looking at India as a destination. The number of courses that are offered both by private and the government, if you look at any stream, be it engineering, management, law, media communication, liberal arts, computer studies, you name it, you have got best universities there in India, which is giving at 1/10 or 1/20 the cost if you're looking at any other country, which is giving the same program and quality. Next, the big, large consulting giants today are recruiting from India for their destinations in India as well as outside India. Name it, Microsoft, Google, Accenture, KPMG, Ernst & Young. You take all the big four consultings which are there. Now, all of them are actually going to universities in India, both private and government, when it comes to recruiting talent for India and outside India. So if you're looking at a smart way to go and educate yourself, you have a lot of opportunities that are given, and also the government is facilitating this happen to ensure that those aspirants who want to go and pursue their degree outside in some other country, those universities are now going to be in India so that it becomes cost competitive for you, get the same quality of education at 1/10 or 1/20 the cost with facilitations by the government to ensure that you equip yourself with knowledge and you are there with the global workforce competing with anyone else from any other country.
It's very impressive. It is cheap and the best and of standard. My next question goes to Dr. Fernandez. Indian universities have set up the campuses abroad like in UAE, Uzbekistan, Tanzania, etc. Can we have some success stories from you of these countries?
Indeed. So we, of course, can see that the prominent ones in this case, private, is Manipal and Manipal Academy of Higher Education and Research and BITS Pilani, which started off from a small campus in Dubai to today they have a huge campus in Dubai in the academic city. And now with Symbiosis going in there, that means there is a success story. Now, that doesn't complete the fact that in India at the moment, Indian universities need to focus on again becoming larger in a sense to meet the demands. Because if the GER has to be brought to 50%, we need 3 times more the universities and higher education institutions in India. So while we are great, it's great to go abroad, we will have a greater demand in India in the next 10 years. And that's why, this foreign universities coming into India, because that doesn't even count the number of students who are going abroad. Every year, we have almost 1 lakh students going abroad for higher education. Now, if they have to be in India, if you have to educate in India, and if you have to get foreign students to come into India, because we are not saying India wants to get foreign students from the US, from Singapore, from Hong Kong, or from Australia. We are looking at becoming a leader from the global south. So when we look at countries which are, of course, in Africa, and for India, the focus has been into getting students from Africa to be able to provide them education in India. We can see that already it's a success story in India. If you go overseas, it is going to be a success story because they've already developed a great model of education. And with yesterday, Honorable Prime Minister addressed the first batch of students at IIT campus, IIT Delhi campus in Abu Dhabi, and that has already kick-started off and they are housed within the Zayed University campus in Abu Dhabi. So I see that there are going to be foreign universities which will say to our Indian institutions, please come and set up campus in our university, and of course the attraction of these universities will start to increase even further.
Thank you so much. I wish it happens in Kuwait also. And children, just introspect that how much progress India is making before choosing your destination. My next question goes to Dr. Raman. Indian higher educational institutions are now doing cutting-edge research as well. India is among the leading countries from where a large number of patents are filed and research papers are published in prominent journals all over the world. How do you analyze this trend?
Yeah, so the trend is changing now. As I told you, the government is ensuring that collaborative research is what is actually being given importance. So a faculty member from India, a member from, say, Australia, or even from London, are joining together and are working on some specific areas that is helping them publish. So publish in reputed journals. So the quality of publication is going high, collaborative publication is going high. And there are processes in which they find out that something unique. So the number of patents that are being filed has also exponentially increased. The government brought in a scheme that if you are a faculty member and you're filing patent, the cost of filing has been brought down to 1/5. Approximately, it was about 25 to 26,000, and from there it has come down to about 4 to 5,000 rupees when it comes to cost of filing a patent. So this has ensured that a lot of faculty members who are involved in research are actually going and filing for patent and getting it published, and then of course it goes to grant and then to the next level of commercialization. The next thing when it comes to research, you've got so many schemes that the government is bringing in, but in my view, there is a lot that is to be done by the individual as far as his or her way of behavior and change. Let us take, for example, say Clean Up India, okay, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which was brought in. It should be more implemented at an individual level, that I'll have to be conscious about how I'm going to treat waste. So the opportunities are there a lot. I'll give you an example. To give an example there, the amount of flowers which is offered in Indian temples being put into river is one of the biggest pollutant of rivers. Now, this is a behavior of an individual that I go and take the flowers and dump it into the water, and that actually pollutes the water. So this was being discussed in one of the class. We have a program on innovation and entrepreneurship. So a couple of students thought, hey, is this a big problem? Can we do something about it? They started going and collecting these flowers and turning them into soaps and incense sticks, started making it as a organization called Help Us Green. Then they went to IIT Kharagpur. That time we didn't have an incubator, incubated their company to that extent that the Prime Minister spoke about this company in his Mann Ki Baat, telling, look, this is how startups should be. Now here is a problem that was taken. It was not a research problem per se. It was a problem that was creating problem for the society and to the rivers. And here were two students created an opportunity out of that problem and took it up as their research problem, seeing how we can solve it, created a company out of it. This is just an example. Like this, there are million of opportunities that are there, which are problems which can be used to take as a starting point to find solutions and creating kind of a startups around it, which can help the country, which can help the individual as well, and also can transform the society. That is as far as the applied part of it is concerned. Now, as far as publication is concerned, there are several ways in which we are doing it. At universities are doing it, joining hands, saying how we'll go ahead and bring in technology and the high-tech big data AI part of it to find patterns and actually go ahead and implement it. Sorry to make it a longer answer. So in India, we got a lot of banks which give loans, but there are many banks where they don't get the loan being paid by the customers. Now, this is a problem, that some of them are not able to pay. Now, if you look at why they are not paying, it is that some do not want to pay. Some are unable to pay. Non-performing assets that come in, etc. Right? Now, there is a research that was taken, this is done, which was funded by IBM, which we took it in our university. We found that there is a pattern in which this happens. Okay, then bringing in AI ML. So today, if everybody is there on social media, put your email address, their profile is brought, and mapping it that these kind of people don't repay money. So today, if you go to banks, they ask you, for example, an email address, put it up, it checks. They say, this is a kind of person who will not repay the money. So we will not give the loan to this kind of person, although the CIBIL score might be looking great. Now this, for example, has been published. I am one of the authors, where we have published this as a part of our finding, telling how we can correlate characteristics of a person to repaying thoughts of this person. Like this, there are several problems that this country has got, which has been taken by so many, and hence the research output in possibly not an A-star journal, possibly a B category journal also it could be accepted, is the kind of research that Indian universities are doing. And this is one reason that the number of papers have gone high. The quality of papers are also going high because the foreign faculty members are interested in these problems and want to collaborate. Adding to the impetus is the government, which is telling, I'll fund it. Go ahead, do it in a faster manner. So actually, these all are making India the destination when it comes to innovation, research, and creativity.
Thank you so much. There's so many innovations happening in India, and it is very heartening indeed. My next question goes to Dr. Fernandez, and I'm very keen to know what are the international parameters on the basis of which we gauge the standard of higher education.
Interesting question because
global ranking.
Global ranking. Very interesting question. And now that touches upon the work I do with QS, which is a global ranking agency. And of course, if you're looking at studying abroad or within the Middle East, you probably would have or will look at QS at some point in time. Now, the QS world ranking and we have the Arab region ranking and we have Asia ranking. The majority, the 50% weight is for reputation, out of which there is academic reputation and employer reputation. Now, academic reputation is exactly what Dr. Raman was talking about, is the academic work you do at the institution, and how does that play into the minds or into the reputation of other academics from other countries and other universities. So a 40 to 45% weight for academic reputation is there in the world and in the regional rankings. We also, QS also looks at employer reputation, because it is finding out what, as a recruiter, which are the universities that produce the best graduates. And as you can see, the reputation part, and of course it's questionable. People say that reputation is not everything, but it is a measure for us to look at which universities are having an impact on the society, on the academic community, and on the employers. And then the other parts of it looks at objective measures like the number of citations, that means how many people are referencing your work, the percentage of international students, the percentage of international faculty, international partnerships, faculty-student ratio, and very recently in a world ranking, we have introduced the alumni impact, all right? And looking at where is the alumni in the world at the university. And keeping in mind what the young generation and the young people want, we have included sustainability. Now, we don't want to measure how green the university is, but how sustainable the university is in sustainability, environment, and governance, beyond SDGs into the impact of the work the university is doing in the areas of sustainability and governance as well. So it is a complex methodology, and we can't cover this in a 2-minute response, but we can see that this impact of the ranking and connecting it back to India, because in India, the impact of the research is tremendous. Why? Because as we all know, India is always resource constrained. So the impact, the amount which India spends on research is generally much more lower. And a clear example, if you have seen the Chandrayaan-3 mission, the total budget of the mission to Moon was $75 million. And if you compare that to a movie which was done, that's Interstellar, that's $165 million just to create an illusion of going into space. So you can imagine the impact India has. And of course, I have to again say it's not the elite universities as well. It is the universities at the second and third tier which are impacting this research in India. And of course, the impact of that can be clearly seen in the world ranking, in the Asia ranking particularly, where we have 145 universities from India in there, which surpassed even China. So that's a remarkable feat, and I think there's more to discuss on that if you have the time.
It's a very broad question, and it has substantially cleared the mist in my mind about global ranking of Indian universities. And my last question is to Dr. Raman. Why should Indian and foreign students opt for education in India?
Okay, why? There are 2-3 pointed answers for it. If you want quality education at affordable cost, I don't say cheap, it's affordable cost, India is the destination to go for higher education, because you get quality education at affordable cost. If you want to work for global companies at prestigious roles, then yes, you have to choose Indian universities where this is happening. Third, if you want to create your own startup where you get the funds that are needed by HNIs investing, and there are every institution which has got its own kind of Shark Tank. For example, Symbiosis, we run our own kind of Shark Tank where we give exposure to startups. Last Shark Tank I can't call it Shark Tank, we call it the Grand Pitch. Okay, about 5 CR Indian currency was invested in 6 companies, which is sometimes more than what actually Shark Tank does at the India level, which you see in the televisions. So that's possible. If you got a great idea, if you want get funding from HNIs, we arrange that. Last but not the least, if you want to ensure that you get great peer learning that happens, and the problems that you want to choose and solve, which otherwise is difficult for you to get, the destination is India. So apart from this, the economic growth that is happening is phenomenal. People say that there are people who are thrown out of jobs, hey, there is recession hitting. All said and done, recruitments keep happening. Always happening. The media sometimes showcases that, hey, look, placements are not happening in certain schools. That's only for a small period of time. After that, companies come and recruit. There is not even one season where students don't get the opportunity to join great companies. Never happens in all the tier A grade institutions in India, right? Both private and the public institutions. So if you want quality education at affordable cost with great learning and value add, and you want to take your career trajectory exponentially high up by creating a startup, the destination is India.
Thank you so much. You said so much in a few words. Now, I would like to take questions from the audience. Anybody sweating to ask a question? Mike is here. Kindly say.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank His Excellency the Ambassador and the panel for this great discussion. My name is Abdul Aziz Al Anjari. I'm the founder of Reconnaissance Research, an independent think tank. My question could be seen as a little bit political, so the panel could answer whichever way they want. I respect their limitations. We are at the end in an embassy. The governments sometimes are made of dreamers, and there are governments made of achievers. India is a government led by achievers who have a vision. So when you have a vision, you create enemies. And in this time, enemies could use propaganda, fake news, to try and sabotage the growth. How is India handling that? Because when you compete with somebody, it means you are taking a bigger piece of the pie they are looking at as well. Thank you.
Who will take this?
Okay, let me try answering it. I am not into politics, neither talking about. I can give a general philosophical answer. We believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, a symbiosis, and even that was for G20 as well. The world is one family. So that is one reason that we have not invaded any other country, right? World is one family where you might say there are enemies, that they might take advantage. The philosophy here is the world is one family. So when I talk about world is one family, I might have a disagreement for a short while, but after that, that disagreement will be resolved. That's how we look at it, right? That's the only thing which I can talk right now in this forum with respect to that question, because I'm not qualified to answer that question sitting in this position and the profile that I hold.
Anything you would like to comment?
Well, I can just echo what Dr. Raman said, is that, once you do well, you of course will have envy of people. I think it is ignoring the noise and just going ahead with what the plan is. And I think that's what India has done. We have a great leadership, I believe. There is, of course, and beyond, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Education, the bureaucrats as well, the Secretary of Higher Education, they're all focused on what is to be done. There's going to be lots of things happening on the side. And if people are jealous, that means you are doing something right. So just continue on.
So when you are on the right path, go ahead without bothering about left or right. Any other question? Yes?
It's a student.
Yes, she wants to say something with a pink dress.
There's a person
Yeah.
who's got the mic
Okay.
here.
Okay.
My question is to Dr. Raman. My name is Jeff. I have a training institute here. I'm a career counselor and coach. It's so nice to hear about you talking about student exchange program and campus exchange program. I'm actually raising this question as a voice of a parent or a child. I have parents who are coming and asking me, Jeff, does Indian University provide credit system where a student can study 2 years in symbiosis, for example, and take a transfer to universities in Europe or Canada? Vice versa, since we are talking about international campuses coming to India, can this transfer become easier? That's one question. Second, can Indian universities offer major, minor subject options where students can study business as a major and one of his hobbies, music, art, or anything can be taken as a minor subject, which outside India University offers? Because post-COVID now, we see career experts are recommending students to have an alternate career. And we have seen in Kuwait, professionals who are working in the banking and other retail sector who have just suddenly lost their job and they were stuck and they didn't know what to do. And to find another job, sometimes for some of them, it took 1.5 years time. And there are people who lost a job, they still had a backup. So how do you address that, when you talk about student exchange program and campus exchange program?
Okay. So answering to both the questions quickly, the second part, I think NEP actually focuses on this. The National Education Policy talks about interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. I can talk about what happens in Symbiosis. We have students who take up courses across inside Symbiosis because we got 8 large faculty. An engineering student, for example, can take photography as one of the subject, while he or she is going to choose the set of subjects. We have the cafeteria approach. We also have liberal arts school, so someone is interested in history, wants to take up something in history while he or she is pursuing law, possible. So this is already being implemented in line with the NEP policy, which talks about the same thing, right? The interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary approach. So that is answer to the second question. As for the first question is concerned, yes, there are structured ways in which we do this. We are already doing it. The government also is ensuring that the joint degree and dual degree is promoted. And several universities in India are doing it, completing 2+2 or 3+1. That structure is happening with a limited set of universities in limited set of areas that we have started with. So yes, the answer is yes to the first question. That's happening not only at Symbiosis, but other universities also in India. And the government is also supporting that happen, both the joint and dual degree programs. Yeah.
Yes, please. Please pass on the mic.
Hello, Namaste. I'm Soumya Deepak from Indian Learners Own Academy. My question to Dr. Raman. India has so many quality educational institutions, but then why Indian students are going abroad for higher studies?
Oh, fantastic question. If you have so many great institutions in India, why are Indian students going abroad? See, the answer to it is we have the same demand-supply gap. For your information, the number of students who take IIT JEE is 12 lakh, right? And you know the number of seats. Let us take, for example, Symbiosis. The SNAP exam, the takers are 1.5 lakhs, where I am representing Symbiosis. The number of seats offered is 1,500. So it's a process of elimination, right? So 1.5 lakh students aspiring to get, now that is Indian students. We got a separate system and admission process for students who are aspiring to join Symbiosis from outside India. That also has got a higher number, but it is not, say, from the Middle East, I get 6,000 students for about 25 seats. Look at the competition there as well, right? So that being the case, those who do not get this, then aspire for other universities inside India. Even there, the competition is so high. If you look at the others, which are there, the private and even the government ones, it is so much. So once they do not, possibly then they say, can I try? To be very frank, to get into IIT JEE, IIT is much difficult than getting into some other premier institutions outside the country. I don't want to name them. And the same is in UPSC Civil Services. Look at the number of aspirants who are trying to write that exam and crack it. Humongous number of. So those who don't then say, I am ready to spend. Can I look at some other universities outside? I think this is what is the reason. Then they go abroad. Some have the aspirations to study abroad as well, because you can't force fit all of them telling you must study here. And that is also one part of the crowd. There are others who are telling, I can't spend so much, but I got an admission here. They're answering the question, can I spend 1 year abroad? Then they go abroad, complete that degree, or say go for part of 6 months and then come back. So answering the question, it is the demand-supply gap. And if you are going to, if you have the aspirations to reach that gross enrollment ratio of 50%, for that, in fact, the numbers should go 3 or 4 times the number of universities, good universities in India, to go up. That's a tall order claim. If you say we already have it, no, it's a big thing to achieve. And that is the reason that there are still students who are going out of India. I hope it's a convincing answer.
There are some parents who come to me and they ask, is there any way that we can get admission in Kuwait in some university? So this is also one scenario. So we are looking forward that some good institutions from India are set up here also.
There's one student who's raising his hand there.
Yes.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Mayuk Shimoga Kumar from Indian Learners Own Academy. I have a question. How does the Indian higher education system compare to those of other countries in terms of quality and accessibility?
Ashwin, you want to take that?
Okay, I will attempt to answer that through the lens of the rankings. So if you're looking at the world university rank, so we have to use some kind of a lens. And in this case, we'll use the world ranking lens. And the world ranking has got 1,500 universities in the world which are ranked. And out of 1,500, 45 of them are from India. China has got 71. So for a nation which is young to have 45, I'm saying young because it went through so many phases, to have 45 world-class institutions is a great feat in its own. If you're comparing within Asia, because of course the first benchmarking is that besides the world, you will compare in your own class, right? So if you're comparing your own class within Asia, we have 148 universities, which is the largest amongst any Asian country. So we are there on a local benchmark, when I say local, being a regional benchmark, but we have to work towards global aspirations. So look at, but don't look at the rankings as just the rankings. You have to go into more in-depth into what subject are you looking at. So look at some of the information available in subject rankings. Look at what accreditations they have. Look at perhaps whether they offer the twinning programs, because a lot of the institutions now in India, and some of them besides Symbiosis, OP Jindal Global University is #1 in Asia, in South Asia, for law. So if you're looking at law, there are specific good universities for law. And all of these new age universities have got a twinning program where you can go for 1 year to any one of the top universities in the West. Or you can, if you really don't want to do that, you can choose to go for maybe a 60-day program to some of the top universities. And I know OP Jindal has got a program where students every year can choose to go to Harvard for a 60-day program, get a certification, and it's part of your program. So you have to go into a little bit more detail, but on the surface, we can see that India is almost comparable with some of the world's best higher education systems.
Only one more question, and then we'll wind up as there is a paucity of time.
There's one student there.
Okay. This is the last question.
My name is Nidin. I'm studying from class 8D. So my question is, there are many, India has many colleges, institutions, schools, and university. And my doubt is, how COVID-19 affected all these university, institutions, and colleges, and how they had impact on students' studies.
Well, that was a global phenomenon. It was not restricted to just India. It was a global phenomenon. Every country had to face this. And so was with Indian institutions. It was a learning curve. There were no textbook answers for this. Everyone tried to find their own answers to see how teaching learning can continue. And so was with many universities in India and schools in India as well. I'm sure that happened here as well, right? Online learning, online classes, online exams. Students were very happy then with the online exam systems. Although you had monitoring process that was happening, students were becoming more and more creative, telling, how will I still be creative to ensure that I give the exams even if I am being monitored? So it was a learning curve for universities, learning curve for schools. We have gone ahead and we had a lot of learnings which we are still continuing. That part of teaching learning is still happening online. For some courses, many universities have adopted this. Part of exams has been gamified today. For example, at Symbiosis, we learned that if exam is gamified, it becomes fun and brings in less stress for students. So now students give part of their exams by playing a game online in the class, and that part of it is taken as evaluation. It happened thanks to COVID. Otherwise, you would not have seriously explored this option. Same has happened with schools as well. When they have gone ahead, they found that randomly choosing a name, you got games which are there. You click it, it chooses a name randomly, and you say, no, you're going to answer. These tools are there online which were being used, which are continued to use. So that's what we did in India. That's what many others in other countries also did. And we learned through it, and we are implementing parts of it even as we have gone ahead after the COVID happened, right? That's my answer to your question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Raman. Thank you, Dr. Fernandez. I think we have learned so much through this interaction, and audience must have been benefited. Actually, that was the last question. I said that we have got the paucity of time, so we can't take any more questions. So I thank our panelists, our experts for this session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.